Welcome to the Etsy Conversations podcast, featuring inspiring interviews with Etsy shop owners, hosted by Ijama Elazu.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Etsy Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Ijama, and I thank you for joining me. This week, my guest is Becky, and she runs the Etsy shop Stitched and Stamped Co., and she's had quite a journey on Etsy, and I'm excited to talk with her about her Etsy journey and just find out how she's gotten to where she is today. Becky, thank you so much for being my guest and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, so first of all, before we jump into it, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you make and sell?
Yeah, so my name is Becky, and I technically opened my first Etsy shop around 2011, 2012, but the one that I operate now, I opened it in 2016, and I make and sell metal stamp jewelry, and then also a little bit of crocheted accessories too.
Hence, stitched and stamped, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Now, how was Etsy different when you first opened the other shop and today?
So it was worlds different. It was, so when I first opened it, I had actually lost my job as a college student. And while I was looking for another one, in the meantime, I don't even remember how I heard of Etsy, but I had heard of Etsy and I thought, hey, I like making and selling jewelry. Maybe I should jump on Etsy and see if that works for me. So back then, they had, I want to say they were called like treasury lists.
Yes.
And I remember it was a really big deal if you were invited onto someone's treasury list. And then the advertising was different. That's probably the one thing that sticks out to me the most is the advertising was so different. You actually selected like your date and time that your listing was going to show on Etsy. And I never got a good prime spot. I think those went like super fast. So I always got like a spot that was like at midnight, which was fine. But yeah, it was totally different.
Yeah, I remember those treasuries, and I remember the first couple of times I was invited and I had no idea what they were. And I thought, well, what's this and what's going on? And the nice thing about it was when somebody included you in a treasury, you were exposed to a whole bunch of other people and people would come to your shops and it was kind of fun to make them too. I do miss the treasuries.
Yeah. I kind of do too. They were fun.
They were fun. I don't know from a sales point of view what function they really served because not long after I joined, well, no, I shouldn't say that. They were around for a couple of years after I joined, but I don't know if they actually helped sales. For me, I don't think they did, but they were fun to make and they were fun to look at.
Yep. I don't think they helped me either. I'm not really sure.
So how did you get into crocheting and metal stamping?
Yeah, so I actually got a Learn to Crochet book as a present one year. And one night I was just bored and decided, hey, I'm going to go grab that book. And so me and my boyfriend at the time, he's now my fiance, we ran out to Walmart and got a ball of yarn and a crochet hook. And then I took it home and I sat there and I made squares just over and over and over. Cause that's the only thing I understood in the crochet book. Yeah. And then moving on, when I was done making my squares and I wanted to move on, I didn't understand how to read a pattern. So I couldn't move on to the next step. So then I jumped onto YouTube, and that is where I learned everything I know about crocheting. I learned through YouTube, and then I could take what I learned on YouTube and apply it back to that book. So I learned to crochet that way. And then the metal stamping came in. So I've always made jewelry, and I don't, even when I was younger, I mean, I was making like the macrame hemp necklaces and
Yeah.
bracelets and beaded stuff. And so I remember seeing some metal stamped jewelry somewhere, and I was like, hey, I bet I could make that. And so I did, what any creative person does, and I bought all of the things, not having any idea what I was doing. And I gave it a try and discovered it was really hard. But with a lot of practice, I got pretty good at it. In my humble opinion, I got pretty good at it. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I just went crazy with it. Really, I bought like a bunch of different font sets, and I got a bunch of different types of jewelry that I could make, and I just loved it.
Would you say that the investment upfront was a lot for someone who might want to try their hands at metal stamping?
I I would say it was only. I mean, there's a way you can do it a little bit cheaper. But for me, I went and I bought a stamping kit from, or not a kit. I bought my first font was $60, and I didn't realize that there were fonts that were cheaper. So you can go to Hobby Lobby and you can get a font set for like $20, or I think Joann's has them too, and Michael's. Um, but I didn't know that at the time. I was just doing my Googling, and I thought, oh, hey, I can buy this font off this website. And then, so I started with that. And then it was a bit of a financial commitment, mostly because I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But it ended up being for the best, because I really liked it. I really enjoy it. And sometimes those larger investments are worth it if you really enjoy it, even if you're not very good at it in the beginning.
Yes, yes. I found the same thing. Like with podcasting for me, when I started, um, I had heard, oh, just record like right into software. And I was like, no, I'm going all out. I'm buying equipment. And I had no idea what I was buying or how to even put it together. And I
Hmm.
thought, if this fails, I am so done for. But, thankfully it didn't.
Yeah, it worked out well.
So, and now I know that the jewelry you create has a lot of meaning. How did
Hmm.
it evolve from just starting out from something that you wanted to try your hands out at, that you thought you would enjoy, to now creating jewelry that's meaningful?
So it kind of started out as, when I first got my stamping kit, I was really bad at it. And so I tried really hard. I started with very easy words, right? Like um, strength or peace or something along those lines. And as I got better at it and I could start putting words together, I really kind of liked quotes. So just going back to my younger years, I really, really liked quotes, like inspirational quotes. I still like them to this day. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
I just really feel motivated and inspired by inspirational quotes, and I thought I could bring that to my jewelry. And so that's also kind of where those affirmation words kind of started.
Mhm.
But I also have high anxiety. And so some of these bracelets that I was making, they kind of started with me. Like I wanted, strength to do something, or whatever I was
Mhm.
feeling in that moment. They kind of started off as something that I was creating for myself to help me cope with my anxiety. And then as I went on, customers would share their stories with me about how meaningful my jewelry was to them, or how it helped them get through something, and that I was just not expecting that. And so it really just makes my day when I hear that something that I do for myself
Yeah.
has evolved into this thing that helps other people too. And I mean, you look cute wearing it, so it's a win-win.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And do you get a lot of custom requests? Like if someone has a particular statement or maybe a
I
date?
I do, yeah. In fact, the majority of the stuff that I offer is customizable. So, like I would say my most popular stuff has dates on them or specials, and so those have to be customized to the, customer's preference or whichever whatever they are purchasing. But I also do get a lot of people reaching out to me on Instagram and now TikTok asking for very specific things. So like I had a gal, she had reached out to me on Instagram and she said that she had found me on TikTok and her grandmother had just passed away and she really wanted some type of piece of jewelry to wear and remember her by, but she wasn't exactly connecting with anything that I had in my shop. So we discussed some ideas of things that like what she wanted on her necklace, and I threw out some ideas of ways we could pair different elements of the jewelry that I carry, and we came to a mutual agreement, and she loved it. And I feel honored because she told me I was her first purchase off TikTok, and that just warmed my heart.
Oh. So how did
hmm
that work? So she found you on TikTok and then reached out
Yep,
to you where, there or on Instagram or on
on
Etsy?
on Instagram. So on TikTok, if you can't direct message people on TikTok. The only
Okay.
way you can DM somebody is if you're mutually following each other.
Oh,
So because she was following me and I wasn't following her, she can't message me, or this
okay.
goes for anybody. You can't message anybody if they're not following you back. And
Okay.
so I have a link that you can click that goes straight to my Instagram. And so that's what she did.
Wow, she really wanted to get something from you, it seems like.
Yeah, I really appreciated that. And it's funny because that seems to be how most people are finding me now. They're finding me on TikTok and then connecting with me through Instagram.
Yeah, I love that. A couple of episodes ago, which at the time we're recording this hasn't aired, but at the time this will air, it will have aired. Um, I had on Hannah, who is all about TikTok, and she's doing so well and has, similar stories about just really connecting on TikTok and that helping her Etsy sales
hmm
from that particular outlet. But we'll get back to TikTok. When you do have a request like that, how do you determine how you're going to price that particular product that you create for the person, or do you price it the same, um, only because the process is the same, or when you get a custom request like that, does it cost a little bit more?
I I don't charge extra for custom requests. The only thing that I would charge extra for is if we needed to use multiple elements. So let's say a customer contacted me and they wanted a bar necklace. I'm already making those to order. So I wouldn't charge somebody extra for putting a different word on the bar.
Mm.
But in the person who I mentioned earlier, she wanted a bar necklace, and then she wanted a initial disc on there with her grandma's initials on it.
Yeah.
And so I believe I added $2 additional because I'm charging for the cost of my time and the material and
Yeah.
running it through my tumbler and all of that stuff. So I do charge a little bit more for adding additional elements. But
Okay.
if they're buying something I already offer, then they just want a different word put on it, I don't charge extra for that.
Okay. And typically, how long does it take to produce a bracelet or a necklace?
It takes me, I'm pretty quick at it now. I can usually get a in the just the stamping part. I can usually get the stamping part done in about 10 to 15 minutes.
Mm.
And then what takes a long time is I run them through a tumbler to get them nice and shiny and reduce scratches from, shipping and all of that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I run them through a tumbler for about an hour and a half.
Oh,
And
wow.
then, yep. And then once they come out of the tumbler, I apply a special ink to it, and I prefer to leave the ink on for about 12 hours.
Mm.
So making it is pretty fast. It's all these little pieces that I Like I can put it in the tumbler and walk away. So it doesn't really feel like an hour and a half, but it is. And then with the ink, I do try to leave those on for 12 hours or overnight. And then I just assemble it the next day. So it doesn't take long when I'm in the moment of assembling, but the full process probably takes me about 24 hours.
Oh, got it. Is the process something you can batch? Like if you have multiple orders, can you put more than
Yep.
one? Okay. Okay.
Yep. And that's typically what I do. I usually sit down and I make everything at once, and then I put them all in the same tumbler. And then I have a little assembly line set up and I apply the ink. Then I go back and I clean the ink off, and then I package everything and get them shipped out.
Okay. And then how about your crochet items? How do you divide up the time between making those and doing the jewelry?
So my crochet is pretty unique. To be honest with you, I don't sell a whole lot of crochet stuff online. I sell the bulk of my crochet stuff at what am I trying to think of?
Craft
Craft
fairs?
markets.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
craft fairs.
Uh-huh.
And so for those, I love crocheting. I crochet year round all day long. So I just sit at home, and while I'm watching TV, I just make headbands and hats and scarves, and then I save them for craft show season.
Oh,
And then if somebody buys one online, it's already made and ready to be shipped.
right. Now, craft shows and craft season typically is around towards the end of the year.
Yep, for me, mine's in the fall. There are craft shows, at least in my area, there's quite a bit of craft shows over the summer, but nobody wants to buy crochet stuff in the summer, so I don't go to those. But I go to craft shows typically from September through December.
Okay. How do you decide which ones you want to take part in?
Really, it's just whatever I can find online.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll see things come over Facebook, and then I'll save them and look them up the following year, or I'll contact them. So yeah, it's pretty much just whatever. I'm in a couple Facebook vendor groups, and I look to see when a lot of people will post the different craft fairs happening. So I'll reach out and contact them that way too.
Okay. Do you have a standard setup that you just take with you from show to show? Because you have to have your table and decorate, if you will. Do you have a standard?
I do. I usually prefer, if the craft fair is offering tables for an additional $5, I always do that because that's one last thing I need to pack up in my car.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a table, then I bring my own. But yeah, I have a table cover that I put on. I hang my sign on the table, and then I have these like hat holders so that the hats and the headbands are standing up, so the person coming by my table can see what it looks like instead of just with it laying on the table, because sometimes I feel like you can't always see like the slouch of the hat or something. So I try to have them on a little stand, and I lay everything out nice and neatly. And then as things sell, I try to restock the table. Because I've always heard that your table should look full. So I try to follow that rule.
I wonder what the theory or the thinking behind that is, because a full table might indicate that nobody is buying.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that, but that is definitely what I do. When I sell quite a few things and my table looks bare, I go into my extra stock and I replenish it all.
Okay. Yeah. What to you would you consider a successful craft show?
I would consider a successful craft show if I sold enough that it paid for my table and my travel expenses.
Okay.
And making a profit, of course, is the ultimate goal. But
yeah,
I personally feel successful when I've paid myself back for that.
Yeah,
I'd say that's good.
Okay, that makes sense. So, in addition to Etsy, you also have an e-commerce site which is at stitchedandstamped.com if anyone wants to check it out. How do you
hmm
determine, or how do you handle both? Because I know the mind switch from selling on a marketplace like Etsy is different than selling on an e-commerce store. So, what do you do
hmm
on stitchedandstamped.com?
So, on my website, I kind of run them both the same way. I don't do a whole lot of things different, although I do try to promote my website and not my Etsy shop.
Mm-hmm.
So when I decided I wanted to start putting listings on Pinterest, I kind of thought that if somebody were to click on my Pinterest link, I would want that to go back to the website that I own and not to my Etsy listing where
Yeah.
Etsy might recommend other shops that sell a certain thing.
Yes.
So that's kind of where the idea came from for my website. And then the other thing was once I got on TikTok, I found that an influx of customers were coming from TikTok. And so if they were finding me from my own marketing efforts, I wanted them to, ideally purchase off my website. Now I do have a link tree that also has my Etsy link just because I know that certain people may trust Etsy more. And so I want
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that's still an option. But yeah, that's how then I also use Pirate Ship for my shipping.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So I have my website and my Etsy integrated into Pirate Ship
Mm-hmm.
so I can see everything there. And it will also say if the order is from Squarespace or if the order is from Etsy.
Okay. And how
hmm
about inventory tracking? Do you use the same inventory source for both your website and Etsy?
I actually don't track inventory because everything that I make to order.
Oh, right.
So I
Yeah.
just make sure I have enough raw materials. And then as I start getting low on that, then I just reorder.
Okay. Typically, what does a week look like in the life cycle of your business? Or if not a week, maybe a day?
Yeah, so I actually work full time.
Okay.
So in addition to my Etsy shop, so I
Mhm.
get up in the morning and I have my morning coffee, and I usually look to see if any orders came in overnight, because that there seems to be quite a few that come in overnight. And then I start my day like that. So with COVID and my current job has actually moved me from home or moved me to home. It's actually been a huge impact on my Etsy shop because now on my lunch break, I can just go across the room into my craft room and get the orders made and then put them in the tumbler. And then I go back to work. And then
Yeah.
once, the tumbler's done, I take those out, put the ink on. And so yeah, so I get off work about 4. And then once I'm off work, I switch gears into Etsy shop. So typically, my fiance and I will make and eat dinner together. And then I put orders together. I work on TikToks and Instagram posts and Pinterest. I'm trying to understand Pinterest these days.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I prefer to do orders and things I can do on my laptop during the week.
Yeah.
And then on my weekends, that's when I do more creating for new listings.
Mm, I like that. So
hmm
you mentioned that you dedicate some time to social media. What types of posts are you creating, and are you just batching them and then dripping them out over time, or do you do that every day?
I do a little mix. So usually at the beginning of each month, I try to batch about 2 to 3 posts per week for that month, or if it's February, I want to batch March or whatever.
Mm,
So I try to get 2 to 3 posts already created, and then that also leaves things happen or I have a post idea, that I can put that new post that I thought of on the spot in the middle of those posts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So most part of my posts are batch created and the other part I made that day.
Okay.
And that's how I do my Instagram. And then with TikTok, I film just about every order that I get. And then at the end of the day, I will start editing my TikToks and I upload them into TikTok and I leave them in the drafts. And then I have, to be honest, I kind of took a little break from TikTok, but I usually try to post to TikTok once a day, 5 days a week.
Okay. And so you don't repurpose the same content on TikTok and Instagram? Because I know I see some people will post from one to the other.
I want to, just don't really know. Oh, yeah, for TikTok, I started doing that. So I would post my TikToks on Reels or as a post or, but now Instagram has all of these algorithm things that they came out with that says if your TikTok logo is on the reel, we're not going to promote the reel.
I heard.
So I'm kind of, I don't really know how to combat that. So I'm not really sure how to reuse my content right now, but I hope Instagram takes that back because I still want my videos on both platforms.
Well, so I asked someone about that because it just, because I said it's so hard on the creators to do the same thing twice, if or like if you have a good piece of content to repurpose it. And so what the person suggested was for TikTok, because if you record in the app, it will have the TikTok logo on it. But if you just record and then upload the video, you can still do all the same things to the video, the editing and all the special effects if you upload it. So they said just record with your camera and then upload it and do everything you want to do in TikTok. And then that way you can upload the same video to Instagram and it won't have the TikTok branding. The only thing is you have to watch your timing.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I know. I thought, well, that's so simple. Why didn't I think about that? But yes, it makes perfect sense because then you escape that whole having the branding on it issue.
Yeah, that's good advice. I'm writing that down.
So, how do you determine what you're going to charge? I know we touched on pricing a little bit before, but how do you determine what the final price of a product will be?
I determine that by, well, first I look at Etsy fees. The Etsy fees actually determine my pricing more than anything.
Oh, wow.
Because I want to make sure that I'm paying myself enough to make it worth it running my shop. And I also want to try to be cognizant. I really want my jewelry to be affordable for everybody. So I kind of go right in the middle. So I do some research on Etsy to see what other people are charging because I don't want to be on the very low end, but I also don't want to be on the very high end. And so then once I kind of pick my price point, I do some math and I figure out how much my, I guess essentially how much my take home pay is after the price of the product is removed, how many or the Etsy fees are removed, and the shipping. I include shipping in my total price. So how much is left over after my shipping expense is deducted too. And then as long as I'm happy with that amount, that's how I decided. I don't do hourly. I know that there's like pricing calculations out there to kind of figure out like, oh, if you want to make an hourly, wage, I guess you need to use this formula. And I don't do that just because my stuff is so weird because I work on it for 15 minutes, and then, it goes into the tumbler for an hour and a half where I can do other stuff.
Yeah.
And then it maybe takes me, and then I leave it overnight for 12 hours. And then it takes me maybe another 10 minutes to assemble the final thing. So I don't really charge hourly because it takes quite a, 24 hours essentially.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I like the fact that you take the Etsy fees into consideration, because I think sometimes we overlook that part as sellers. I mean, we know in our head they're going to be fees and it's 5% and, transaction fees and all
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. But
Yep.
then to actually wrap that into the pricing is
Yep.
really smart.
That's what I do. And then I also price the same on my website as on Etsy, just to make sure the two are fair.
Yeah. And on your website, are the fees, the monthly fees, do they kind of match closely to what you end up paying in monthly transaction fees, etc., on Etsy? Because I assume there's on your website perhaps a monthly fee to run the e-commerce store.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty comparable
Okay.
because so it also depends on what e-commerce package you purchase, I guess, for example. So like I use Squarespace
Okay.
and they have a couple levels. And so I wanted to integrate like a MailChimp email list and all of that stuff. So I went with the higher one. And so
Okay.
that's $40 a month. And then you pay a transaction fee of, I want to say it's like 2.9%. And so what I pay for Squarespace is about the same as I'm paying on Etsy. It might be a little bit more, but when I make a sale on my website, I pocket a little bit more because I don't have that added 5%
Yeah.
that Etsy takes. So it
Okay.
evens out, in my opinion.
Okay. And sorry, you cut out a bit. Did you say the monthly fee for the e-commerce level that you're on is $33 a month?
Is 40,
$40.
40.
40.
Yep.
Okay, on Squarespace. Okay, cool. That sounds reasonable. I think Shopify, I think their first level is 20. The last time I looked was about 29. And then the next level up was 79, which, of course you get
Mm-hmm.
more. Um,
Yeah. And so I researched between Shopify and Squarespace because I know Shopify is, what probably the majority of people have,
mhm.
but I needed to have options for variations. And
Yeah.
the package, and maybe it's changed since I researched, so don't hold me to this, but
Mhm.
back when I researched, to have the ability to have as many variations as I needed, it was like an additional add-on
Yeah.
expense or like an add-on thing. And with Squarespace, it just came with it. So that was primarily why I went with Squarespace.
Okay. That makes perfect sense, because I think one thing people might not initially be aware of with Shopify is that you you sometimes might need to purchase certain apps to
Mm-hmm.
make things work a certain way, or to get additional functionality beyond the basic package that Shopify provides, and those can add up. Some of them are a
Yep.
one-time fee and some of them are recurring.
Yep. Exactly. Squarespace just works so much better for my budget.
Okay. And from a technical standpoint, was Squarespace easy? And I've heard it's easy. I've actually never played in the Squarespace sandbox, but was it easy to understand? Did they have enough tutorials, particularly for the e-commerce side?
Yes, I loved using Squarespace. In my opinion, it was easy to understand. When you open a Squarespace website, you select a template and then you kind of build on it from there.
Mm-hmm.
And Squarespace has really helpful tutorials. So every time I didn't know how to do something, I would Google it
Mm-hmm.
and a squarespace.com tutorial would pop up. And that was super helpful. There were a couple of things in the beginning that I didn't know how to do. And so I found somebody on Fiverr to do them for me. And that was really
Nice.
nice. And then, yeah, but now that I've been on my website, I opened it in October. So
Okay.
now I'm pretty well versed in how to add products and how to add pages. the other day, I just figured out how to add a drop down so you can hover over where it says shop and it will
Yeah.
show you all of my categories. I was so excited
I
about
know, I
that.
see that. I'm like, ooh, she has got categories up the wazoo.
Yep, yep.
Now, one thing I noticed that you don't have as of yet is a blog. So,
hmm
I know that you're sending traffic directly from social media, but do you have any plans to incorporate any type of writing so that you can capture people through SEO?
I've thought about that a lot because I feel like there's a lot of like topics I could write on for a blog and like kind of pair it to like a piece of jewelry.
Mm,
But I really haven't, just because since I work full time,
yeah,
I don't have a whole lot of time to dedicate to blog posting. But
yeah,
um, someday I'm hoping I'll be able to work for myself. And when that day comes, I hope to have time to be able to start a blog.
yeah. I know they are time consuming and those pesky jobs just kind of get in the way
I know,
sometimes.
darn it.
Now, Becky, have you ever had to deal with a customer that wasn't satisfied with what you made for them?
Yes, I have. They don't happen often, but when they do, it just gets me right in the heart,
Oh,
to tell you the truth.
yeah.
I had, for example, and usually when I do get a difficult customer, if they message me on Etsy or email or Instagram, I do try to take care of their need right then and there. But some people
Mm-hmm.
just go right to the bad review.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard because I want to make it better before they leave a bad review. But my mom, she is she owns her own business, and she's told me, she's like, you know what, you're just not going to make everybody happy, and that's
Yeah,
okay. But if they're complaining about something that needs to be changed, then you learn from it and you change it. And
yeah,
so that's my system.
yeah, yeah. I like that, and it's true. You just can't make everyone happy. Um,
hmm
Usually, if they do reach out to you first, are you, for the most part, able to turn things around easily and get
Yes.
them to feel like you've made them whole?
Yep. The thing that people probably contact me the most about is their package being late. And of course,
Mm,
that's out of my control. And that's usually an easy conversation for me. But
mm,
yeah, if they're like, I had one gal reach out over around Christmas time, and she had ordered a bracelet from me and it snapped.
mm.
And I'm like, that's never happened before. And so I just offered, like, would you like a refund or would you like a replacement? And she wanted a replacement. So I got it out and I wrote her a really nice note and sent that out to her. And she messaged me and she was really happy with it. So
Nice.
after that, though, see, this is what I mean when when things happen, I try to learn from them. At the time that she received her snapped bracelet, I was shipping my bracelets in like a reusable cloth bag.
Okay.
And I kind of wondered if maybe with all of the shipping that happened in 2020, if it got snatched somewhere.
Uh,
And so after that, I switched over to jewelry boxes. So now all of my stuff is protected if it were to get, bounced around and under something heavy.
oh yeah, good idea. Where do you get supplies from? Are you able to purchase them at good like wholesale prices?
I I get a lot of my supplies from Amazon, and I do price compare to like Uline, and I think there's a couple other shipping, and I just don't need all of the
The
quantity that
quantity.
they're
Yeah.
offering. So I'm pretty happy just going through Amazon and getting the stuff in bulk there.
Yeah.
And then I also get some supplies off Etsy too.
Oh, okay. Like
hmm
shipping supplies?
Yep, I've gotten
Oh.
like ribbon, and I've gotten
Oh, right.
some of my jewelry suppliers are on Etsy. And yeah, Etsy's a really great place for well, I mean, for everything, as you
Yeah.
know, but they're a really great place for like supplies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true actually. Yes, I've made that Uline fumble before where I bought a supply and I saw the quantity, but I guess in my head I didn't realize the quantity. And
Yep.
so and so it came and I was like, oh my goodness, am I ever going to get through all this?
I just did that this year. I decided I was going to add tissue paper to my boxes, and I bought tissue paper off Amazon. And in my head, I was like, oh, $20, not a big deal. $20 of tissue paper is a lifetime supply. So
Yes.
tissue paper for life now is what we're going with.
Yeah, I have plastic bags for life.
Yep.
Nice. So when you get an idea for a new product, whether it's a new style of a crochet beanie or a headband or a new piece of jewelry, typically, how long does it take from when the idea hits you to actually creating a prototype or a version of it to put in your store just to make available for sale? And is it different for the two different types of products?
So crochet takes a long time because when I list things in my Etsy shop, I try to list things that I've made from my own patterns. And that can take quite a bit of time to, come up with and test and test and test. But for jewelry, it's a lot faster. So I constantly have ideas. And so I can't execute them all. So what I do, I have an app on my phone. It's just the Notes app on the iPhone. And I have a folder for Stitched and Stamped. And I have new product ideas listed there. So I have everything from like words that I think would be fun on a piece of jewelry and ideas. And then I also I try to sketch things. I'm not the greatest like drawer by any means, but there's been some ideas like when I sit down on a Saturday, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to put some of these ideas in motion. I'll usually draw them out. And that kind of helps me determine like, okay, what size of disc do I need? Do I need a bar necklace? Is this going to be a bracelet? Yeah. So, you asked how long it takes. So, it can take a long time. So I have ideas constantly. So I just put them into an app. And then on Saturday mornings, Saturday mornings are usually when I make new product, I kind of look through my list and really I just pick out what sounds fun to make.
Nice. I like that. And yes, like a true creative, the ideas are way more than time in the day. And maybe even time in our lives to make them all. So do you ever find that you hit a wall, like a creative rut?
I do. I don't think I ever run short of ideas, but there are times where I'm just not in the mood to research SEO or, the things that are needed to get the listing actually, or like, taking the product shots. That's probably where I run into the creative rut the most, is I just have to be in the right mindset to get through the extra stuff. The creating part is the easy part for me. It's the extra stuff that I like have to focus and make reminders. Hey, you got to do this on this day. So that's kind of where I run into a rut.
Do you have any tactics for breaking through those?
I do. I try to schedule stuff. So I use my phone app, the calendar on there, and I'll put on like, let's say Wednesday, I want to take product photos on my lunch. So I will schedule it so that it pops up about a half hour before I go on lunch. And then I start thinking about it.
Good idea.
And so then it usually gets me in the right mindset, like excited. I want to take really good product photos, but I just need to be happy and excited about it. So, so then it kind of gets me like mentally prepared for it. And then there are some days where like I schedule it and something comes up and I just can't do it that day. So then I reschedule it. So it always stays top of mind. And then that way I know, if I don't get it done today, I won't forget.
So, Becky, what things do you think that you have done selling on Etsy that have just helped set you up to, one, have good systems in place and be successful with your shop? And what things do you think you could get better at doing?
One thing that I do that really helps me stay organized is I'm very big on apps. I have apps for everything in my life that keep me on track. And so I have on my iPad, I have like an Apple Pencil, and I use the Good Notes app. And it's like a little spreadsheet, and I write out all of the listings. And then I keep track on where I'm at with each listing. Like, is it being made? Have I taken photos? Have I done the SEO? Have I listed? If it's listed, does it have product photos and lifestyle shots? Does it have a video? Because I just started doing video, so does it have a video? So that's really helped me stay organized with everything. Because with jewelry, there's just so many variations that one piece of jewelry can have. So I try to keep my head straight with that. And then what else do I do? Oh, one thing that I just recently started is I started outsourcing some of my SEO research. I'll hire somebody on Fiverr to do that for me. And that's been a lifesaver because I can get listings up so much faster when I don't have to do the research on that myself. And I found that sometimes their SEO is better than mine, to be totally honest with you.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's been huge for me. One thing I could probably be better at is having a better system of creating. Because right now, I kind of just create what I feel like, or if I get a request, I'll usually take product photos of that before I mail it out. But what I want to be better at is making stuff specifically for like wedding season, before wedding season, or, before Mother's Day or before Father's Day. And that I'm just not very good at. And it's on my to-do list to get better at.
Yeah, I'm the same way. When I want to do something seasonal, I start right in the season, and by then
Yep.
it's too late. You just do it for next year.
Yep. That's exactly what I do.
Yeah. Now, I'm so curious about outsourcing your Etsy SEO to someone on Fiverr. Do they do specific SEO research for Etsy or just in general?
So there is a ton of SEO people on Fiverr, and I look for specifically Etsy people that will do Etsy SEO, because Etsy, I mean, maybe it's changing now that Etsy is kind of doing more SEO with Google, but I prefer somebody that already knows how to use Etsy when they're coming up with SEO words for me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I find somebody that specifically lists themselves as an Etsy SEO expert, and I use them. And then they don't, in case anybody's interested, they don't like log into your Etsy account. They'll there's one person that I use, there's a couple, but one that I've used recently, I just send her pictures of the item so that she knows what she's writing SEO for.
Yeah.
And then that way, like, I still, when I list it for the first time, I still get that like new listing bump. And I'm not putting my Etsy store at risk by having somebody log in somewhere else.
Right. Yes. Because I've heard of stores getting shut down when people
Yeah,
at
it terrifies me.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Because sometimes I'll be at the library and want to do something. I mean, I can do everything from my phone, but sometimes, I've been tempted to log on at one of the computers, and then I think to myself, oh no, different IP address. I don't want to get shut down. Yeah, don't do it. That's really great that I didn't know that there were people on Fiverr that specialized in Etsy SEO. And so then the terms that they give you, are they what then goes into your descriptions and your tags?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all types of different packages. So I've had people that will only do title and tags. I had one gentleman that did SEO for me, and he rewrote my entire description, which was unexpected and awesome. So that was really fun. And then so yeah, that's pretty much it. They focus primarily on the title and the tags, but every now and then you'll get a person that will go above and beyond and do like the redo of the description. I have had one person, they sent me an audit of my entire shop, and
Whoa.
that was really cool. So yeah, I mean, Fiverr will surprise you, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, for real. Okay, so I'll definitely link to Fiverr so folks can do some research there and check that out. And like you said, it
Mhm.
does help if the person is familiar with Etsy, because I think
Yes.
Etsy SEO is kind of different than just if you were setting yourself up to be found on Google or Bing or what have
Yeah.
you.
That's what I think too.
Yeah. Um what is something you're really enjoying right now about running your Etsy shop, and what's something you would like to see in the future that would help you do that even better?
So right now I am really enjoying I don't know if this is lame or not, but I'm really enjoying TikTok for my Etsy shop. That it's kind of forced me to learn how to video edit,
Yeah.
and so I've discovered I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And the engagement on TikTok is so much better than Instagram.
Yep.
So I've been really enjoying that. And I've also been really enjoying working on the website that I own. I
Mm.
mean, you know what I mean, like my
Hmm.
Squarespace website.
Yeah.
It's just, it's so fulfilling in my opinion to, last week I went through and I updated a bunch of pictures, and I edited some of my, like my about me section. And it's just, it's just so much more fulfilling for me knowing that like I made that
Yes.
and
Yeah.
operating that. And then what was the second half of your question?
What, what like basically what features would you like to see on the
Oh,
Etsy platform in the future?
so yes, so on the Etsy platform, I would love it if they would allow more variations.
Oh, okay.
Because I with being a jewelry maker, you know, I have like the type of metal, I have fonts for people to select, I have different sizes, and I can't put all of that stuff into one listing. So then I have to make all of these other listings that are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And it would just be so nice if I could just put the one item in one listing with all of the different options for that listing.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And I have to say, I am with you on TikTok. I secretly started a TikTok channel, and
You did?
I did. I Nobody knows it exists except the people who find it organically on TikTok, and
That's awesome.
it's fun. And no, it's not a dancing channel for anyone who might think I'm out there dancing on TikTok. Not at all. It is related to selling on Etsy, but like you said, the engagement there is so different than say on Instagram, or I haven't been on Facebook for I don't know how long. But
Hmm.
on Instagram is the closest thing I can compare it to, and the engagement is really different, and learning how to do videos, for me it just seemed so much easier to figure TikTok out than
Yeah.
Instagram.
I agree. And people I mean, there's of course, you know, you're gonna get, you know, mean comments from time to time, I'm sure. But
Yep.
for the most part, my experience, people have been pretty nice that stumble across my videos. And and there that people actually comment. So like on Instagram, sometimes I feel, you know, what's I feel I don't know what the right word is. Like I don't get seen.
Yeah,
And on
invisible.
TikTok, it's yes, invisible. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
And then on TikTok, it's very much a different story.
Mm.
You know, you can see how many views your video is getting, and there's usually quite a few likes and some comments. And
Yeah.
even the people that aren't following me or don't like a video, I still get messages on Instagram saying, "Hey, I saw you on TikTok. Can you make this?"
Oh,
I mean, the
nice. Yeah.
majority of my Instagram followers and are now coming over from TikTok,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
is great.
Yes, you're right. And one of the things I do like about just being on TikTok is I don't feel the pressure um to amass followers because
Yes.
the interaction is so different. Like, so I'll share Etsy tips and then people will say something about that, like, oh, I didn't know that, and then they'll share it or they'll tag someone and say, hey, did you know this? And they're having a conversation
Mhm.
with themselves, and I'm looking at it thinking, ooh, well, I'm here, but
Yeah.
that's okay. You don't need to talk to me. I'm glad you're sharing the information. And so it's different there because, like you said, I don't know how they do it, but I feel a bit more seen there, and not you know to be visible, but just to feel like, okay, what I am sharing is getting to people who are looking for the information, as opposed to, say, on Instagram where you're like, I hope somebody sees this.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And the other thing that I really like about TikTok in comparison to Instagram is I feel like the TikTok community is a lot more about being who you are instead of having a curated feed, a really beautiful curated feed, right?
Yeah.
So like on TikTok, like one time I asked my sister, I'm like, "Oh, how come I'm not getting as many views?" And she went to my TikTok and she's like, well, all of your TikTok videos look the same. Why don't you do a video where you're talking about something? And in my Instagram mind, I didn't know that was even an option because that's what people like on Instagram. They like seeing beautiful pictures that
Yeah.
all look similar.
Yeah.
Well, on TikTok, it's not like that. You can have whatever type of video you want, and nobody cares about what your feed looks like,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yes. Yeah, I liked that too. I started TikTok at the same time I decided I was going to try and do a daily Instagram live. And for anyone who caught those Instagram lives I was doing, um they didn't last very long because it was just so much easier to do it on TikTok. And so
Hmm.
that was why I started thinking about just repurposing and ask someone about that, like how to just repurpose the TikTok videos to Instagram without the logo. And that was how I found
Hmm.
out that, oh, just record it on the phone, so then that way you don't
Yeah,
get
that's so
the.
smart.
Yeah, so it's helped quite a bit, without having to redo the same thing for each platform.
For sure.
um so Becky, what advice would you have for someone who is like you, working full time, but then also trying to grow a business that they hope to eventually one day become their thing full time?
My advice would be is to if you haven't started yet, to just go ahead and start. It's the best way to learn. And if you have started, definitely make time for, you're running your Etsy shop and doing social media and stuff, but also make sure you're taking time away and just spending time on you. Cause sometimes I
Mm.
feel I get so caught up in like, okay, I work my 9 to 5 and then right after my 9 to 5, I eat dinner and then I go straight into Etsy. And sometimes my mental headspace needs to just sit on the couch and watch TV.
Yeah.
And I found that just by letting myself do that, letting myself be lazy from time to time actually helps me in the long run because I'm more um, creative, I'm more motivated, I get things done more efficiently because I want to be doing them because I gave myself a break.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I actually I have had a week like that this week where I was just go go go, because I'm working on a new product line. And then
Hmm.
yesterday, I just thought, I can't. I didn't even open my laptop. I didn't get on the computer at all, just because my mind was just going there was too much going on in there. And it felt so good to wake
Hmm.
up this morning and think, okay, I've had a brain break. I can get back to it.
Yep. It's so important. And at least like I think it's so important just to give yourself that mental break, that mental space.
Yeah. Are there any tools or resources? I know you said YouTube in the very beginning was an excellent resource in addition to a book that you got to learn how to crochet. But any other tools and resources that you use to just help you be better at what you do?
Yeah, I like, so, of course, YouTube. I mean, that
Hmm.
should be number one on everybody's list is YouTube is so
Always.
helpful. And then one thing that I've really been into lately is Facebook groups.
Okay.
And I specifically like Facebook groups with a smaller number of people in them. So, there's Etsy groups that have, 60,000 people, but I
Oof.
like the groups that have like 5,000 to 20,000 because I feel like people are seeing your questions easier
Hmm.
and they're responding, and then also too, same thing goes for Facebook groups for what you're making. So I'm in a bunch of metal stamp jewelry Facebook groups, and those are super helpful. I'm in a bunch of crocheting groups, and those are super helpful. And then let's see, what else do I use? Fiverr, I gotta give them a shout out.
Yeah.
They've been really helpful. And yeah, I think that's all I about it. That's all I can think of
Okay.
off the top of my head.
That's very helpful. And out of curiosity, the SEO research the gigs that you've bought on Fiverr, were they actually $5 or did you upgrade to get extra stuff?
Oh, they were all more expensive than that.
Okay.
I think the price point that I was at was about $20 for 5 listing or 4 or 5 listings. I remember
Okay.
that it was about $5 per listing, and that was the least expensive I could find, and then it goes up from there. So no,
Okay.
they weren't $5. I think they
Okay.
might offer one SEO listing for $5. I think I've
Okay.
seen that.
And that's what I found recently with Fiverr is you you'll be hard pressed to find any gigs that really are just $5. Um,
Yeah.
but they do offer more, and so it's kind of worth it, and still not for the most part not anything that will break the bank, but
hmm
not $5.
Yep, agreed. I don't think I've ever purchased something on Fiverr for $5.
Oh yeah. Well, I remember way back when I used to get stuff for $5, but now it's all about the upgrades, and so not
Yep,
anymore.
for sure.
Do you have an Etsy shop shout out?
Yeah, I have two.
Yay.
So, I recently got engaged and I am unfortunate and lose everything. So I bought some ring dishes from Firefly Ridge Designs, and they are wonderful.
Oh. Nice.
And then my other Etsy shop shout out is Evermore by Jennifer. And she is a friend of mine, and she makes the cutest kid kits, and they're completely handmade. So she makes like an Easter card kit, and she'll make like a farmer's marker kit where she like hand makes the veggies that your kids can play with. And I just think it's the cutest stuff.
Oh wow. Okay. And so her shop is Evermore by Jennifer. That's the full name?
That's the full name. Yep.
Okay, good. And the first one for the ring dish is Firefly Ridge Designs.
Yep. That's the
Okay,
full name
good.
too.
Great. So I will link to both of those so folks can check them out and see what they're doing. Becky, what's the best
Awesome.
way people can connect with you if they want to reach out?
Definitely Instagram.
Okay. And what's
Instagram's
your,
quickest.
do you want to tell us what your I know it, but I want you to say it,
Oh,
what your
yes.
handle is.
My handle is, yeah, it is stitched dot and dot stamped.
Okay.
That's also my TikTok handle.
Okay. And I will of course link to Becky's both her Instagram and her TikTok as well as her Etsy shop so folks can connect with you over there if they would like to in all those places. Becky, thank you
Awesome.
so much. I feel like this conversation has been a long time coming, so I'm glad we finally got to sit down and have it.
Me too.
And I was going to ask you something else and I don't remember. But I probably will when we when we end the conversation. but I'm glad that we got to talk. I do hope that one day you are able to make this your full-time business, because I can hear the passion that you have for what you do, and it sounds like
Thanks.
you're putting systems in place to get there. So I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And I thank you for listening to the podcast. I will be back with another episode next week.
Thank you for listening. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, and while you're there, please leave a review too. Visit convome.com to leave a comment or feedback on this episode.